Hey, I'm Emma Mitchell, an energy healing guide and psychic medium. I'm back with my friend Amanda. We already did one episode where she told us a bunch of crazy stories, and today we're going to talk about another story of hers, but also an experience that we had, I guess it was 2 years ago
Mhm.
now.
Of
So thanks, Amanda, for being with me again.
course.
So let's talk first about what we experienced a couple years ago. So
Yeah,
I'm originally from Michigan, if you haven't gotten that from my accent yet, but Amanda and I have been friends for a long time. A few years ago, I was in Michigan for like a month and a half. So we decided to go to different Native American sites that were either, villages or places where unfortunately they had been removed without their consent. And we were just trying to figure out, could we feel into the different energies of those spaces? And Amanda and I both have really strong abilities, but even at that time, we really didn't know what kind of abilities we had. We were still kind of starting off in this journey. And I will say that was one of the most important trips for me, just because
I agree.
we were able to sense into like, this is what's heavy. This is what a heavy energy feels like. This is what a light energy feels like. This is sorrow. This is that. And we were able to uh, talk to each other about what we were both experiencing and invalidate that we're not nuts. That was like, I think the
Yeah,
biggest thing for me of always sensing energy, but not ever knowing if anybody else did or how they did. So,
yeah,
I'll just talk a little bit about it and then I want you to really give the whole story. So we
yeah,
went
sure.
around to, first we went over by your house. So we were in, was it like, was it Albion?
Yeah, that area. Yeah,
Yeah.
not far from there. Yeah.
So we went over there and there was several places we went. One was place where people had been forcibly removed and they were the last tribe in that area. And then we went to another place that was a lake, like a recreation
Yeah.
area.
Boy Bees. I hope I'm saying that right, but yes,
Yeah,
it's
we
a
probably
French
should have
name. Yeah.
looked it
We should
up
have probably
before.
looked this up before we
Well,
did
oh
this.
well, whatever. And then a couple of days later, you came to the west side of the state, and we went up in Allegan area. We went over to Nashville, Michigan, and some other areas that we knew there were some villages. And we were really lucky to come across some book that had all of these villages mapped out by somebody in the 1930s.
Mhm.
So we were really lucky in that. So do you want to talk about what you remember from these experiences?
Yeah. So the first place that we came across was actually the last encampment of the tribe that was originally at that Boy Beese, I don't think I'm saying that right,
Yeah.
lake. That was where they originally had their village, was at that lake shore, and they were moved out of there. And this was their last encampment before they were like marched out of Michigan, is my understanding, right?
Yeah.
And it's a really like unassuming corner, like at a crossroads between two roads. There's a little spot where you can pull in and park, a couple like bushes with a plaque that talks about what happened there. And then like a little like trail that you can take around like this, I think it's like a creek bed that was back in there. Um, and I think almost immediately, as soon as we like got out of the car, it was just an incredible sense of of sadness. Um, and uh, that was, I think, this is where I first learned how to tell um, the difference between feminine and masculine energy. I kept feeling this very like on the left, was it the left? Yeah, my left side of my body. I kept getting like a deep sensation, but it was all focused like on the left side. So like my left ear would ring. My left shoulder would hurt, like tingling in my left hand and things like that. Sounds like a heart attack. It wasn't. It was definitely feminine energy and someone trying to connect with me there. I think, what was interesting also about that is that we had Archer with us when we were at that location. And so the fact that I was getting, this feminine energy, I think part of that was a motherly thing. That was the sense that I was getting from this spirit. She was really sad. She had her child with her, and they were having to leave home. And it was like I could feel like her whole story. And I think as we continue to like walk through there, what was really interesting is that we were picking up on so many of the same feelings, but also having entirely unique experiences as well with the spirits that we were interacting with. So I think what was drawn to you was a little bit different than what was drawn to me, and we were having this really interesting shared energetic experience there. And yeah, that was the first time that I think that it was the validation, right? I think that, like what you said, like having that validation that when I walk into a space and I get this feeling or I see this, I get pictures in my mind's eye. I think you hear words and I see things.
No, I
Um,
hear and see.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like when I ask my spirit guides questions, they give me pictures. They talk to me in a lot of like pictures and sometimes very abstract ways. But yeah, it was the first time that I really had that kind of validation that like what I feel is real. This is happening. This is a real thing that I'm feeling. It was a very, very interesting place. Very, very, very sad. Um, very peaceful though. I think was the other thing that really surprised me. Like it was a very tumultuous thing that was happening to these people. And so like the feeling of sadness and despair certainly makes sense, but like the feeling of peace that I had there as well was really shocking to me. And I don't know if that's, kind of like tapping into that Native American belief structure that they had, at that time that they were going to go in peace and they were going to do these things and um, almost like a lot of trust that they were putting in to the people that were sending them away from their home.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
there was also, I think, betrayal too, right? Like I don't remember if you felt that. I can't remember, but I also remember feeling like a betrayal. Like they were friends. Like these were their friends that they had
Mhm.
been living alongside. Like they couldn't. They were more sad than angry that
Yeah.
that their friends were making them leave.
Yeah. It's interesting you bring up the word peace because I do agree with you because we went to several places and we felt violent anger
Hmm.
and we felt violent sadness in one area, but in that area it was sad, but it was peaceful. I wasn't scared.
No.
Whereas a couple, I remember when we went, oh gosh, boy, I should have looked this up on the map before we talked about this, but we went to that one island up in the Allegan area and
Oh, wow.
and
Yeah.
we felt was violent anger. Like I remember we looked at each other and said, we got to get the heck out of here
Yeah. It was
because it
bad.
felt so overwhelmingly strong.
Yeah.
And that was a place where there were villages, there were burials, there was all of that. And it's just completely overtaken by people who are not tribes now,
Hmm.
just living there as their summer homes or whatever. And it was very ominous feeling.
Hmm.
Yeah. But where
Yeah.
we went first, it wasn't. And having your son, and he was what, like 3 or 4 at the time, and it was really kind of cool to be there with him because I know he has really strong senses of this stuff. And then
Hmm.
the next place we went, which was that lake, that
Yes.
felt very peaceful too. And we were walking
Yes.
around to different areas around that lake, and we could feel, and my dog is moaning right now behind me. It's great. We could feel those energies, and that felt very peaceful and light.
Yeah.
But I remember being up by that tree,
Mm.
and Archer was like, there's a man standing over there by that tree. And it
Yeah.
scared the heck out of me because at that time I didn't really see things as strongly as I do now. Like I couldn't
Mhm.
sense into ghosts and see them the way that I do now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He said I think the first thing he said was, "Who's that man?"
Mhm.
And I was like, "You're the only people And like there were no other people. It wasn't
Yeah.
like even off in the distance there was a man. There was
Yeah.
no other people where we were. Um, and yeah, that was and I think I asked him like, well, who do you see? And he was like, the man sitting by the tree.
Yeah. And that
Oh,
tree looked like a wolf was carved into it or something.
oh, it
You
was
remember?
very and yeah, that tree was very interesting in itself.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, where we were on that corner, the reason that we were specifically at that corner of the lake is that was where they had had their last village settlement was at that corner
Yeah.
of the lake,
Yep.
before they were marched out of town.
Yeah.
And I think that if I remember the story correctly, I believe that the chief's daughter even married a villager. And so like it was all very like that feeling of betrayal, I think was very deep because they were very much part of that community until they were no longer allowed to be.
Yeah. I'm gonna look up these locations and put them in the notes so people can
Mhm.
look at them. Yeah, that was a really interesting trip. The other thing I'll briefly talk about, because I still don't understand what happened, was you had that spirit box on your phone,
Oh yeah.
and we had it on for a while, driving in the
Mhm.
car, and then we drove over one lake area, and all of a sudden it went off, and that
Yeah.
thing started talking to us. I'm still terrified about that experience to this day.
I haven't used one since then.
Oh my gosh, I don't even
No.
remember what it was saying to us, but it was really creepy.
Yeah, it was strange. It was like one word. I can't remember. I wish I could remember what it had said, but it was the voice itself that came out of the spirit box at that time was um it was unsettling
Yeah,
to say the least. Because you don't always get the same sounding voice. I know that probably sounds strange, but like when you're using a spirit box, like you get voices that kind of align with what you're talking to. Like I can tell the difference between a male and a female.
mm,
Um, you can get something very angry and guttural. That whatever we got there was definitely odd.
it was like a depressed spirit. I remember it was
Yeah,
something
it
about,
was odd.
why do I feel like it was something about finances or money or,
Yeah, well, I think it was. I think it didn't really make sense. Like we were just kind of like in the middle of nowhere, and it just started talking about money and like,
yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah. I don't like
it was
thinking about that.
strange.
That,
But the voice that came out of it was weird too. Like I don't know. That's what gets me is like
yeah,
I've heard lots of different voices come out of that thing, but the that one was particularly upsetting for some reason. It was
yeah,
very unsettling sounding.
yeah, yeah, I agree. And then, so I want to talk about that next, when we went a couple days later.
Hmm.
So we drove up from, like, we're in West Michigan, and there were a lot of really interesting things that happened. And I don't know, I remember we went somewhere, we didn't get lost, but we took this weird trail or this
Hmm.
weird road, and we pulled up to, I guess, I don't know what it was, a farm. It was something weird. And all of a sudden, all these ducks, do you remember
Yes,
that? All those
yes,
ducks
yes.
ran up and surrounded the vehicle, and they were all
Yeah,
quacking at us like they were so
yeah.
excited that we were there.
Mhm.
I've never seen that in my life. Maybe that's normal for ducks to do.
It was it that park, that historical park
No,
that you
it was
no.
when we thought we were being followed. Do you remember that? We drove down that weird road, and then we felt like somebody was
Yes.
following us, so we drove up
Yes.
on somebody's property.
Yes.
Yeah. And those ducks. And then we saw a golden eagle, which is not normal
Yeah.
to see in Michigan,
Yeah.
along that same way, which, both of us thought that was very symbolic of this
Hmm.
trip. And then we went to that island we were talking about, and that's where we felt the very strong, angry energy. And then
Hmm.
we went to that park in I think it was Nashville or somewhere near there.
Yeah.
And we were walking around, and we went into the woods, and we could hear drums. Like we could hear
Yes.
drums, we could feel Native Americans all
Yes.
around
Yeah.
us.
Hmm.
That was so amazing.
It was incredible. I'm still so thankful that we were there together because how could you ever explain hearing native drumming and chanting for no reason? And when there was, and we were kind of there like at a weird time of the year, so like nobody else was there, even though it was a park and a beach and like it had walking trails and like some historical buildings, I think. But yeah, it was very interesting.
Yeah, and I didn't really want to tell the story because it makes me sound like a lunatic, but I'm just going to tell it anyway. So at the
Well, I
time,
don't know if it makes you look like a lunatic or if it makes me look like a
I
lunatic. I don't
think,
know.
well, maybe you are because you went along with me, but but at the time I was doing a lot of tapping into my psychic abilities, and this one of my spirit guides at the time was this Native American chief, and he showed me a map and he said go here and go here. And so we did. Those are the places we picked out, which were based on the villages. And I also had this very intense, and I don't know if it was a past life vision or what, but of being this female. See, this it's even weird just to say it right now. I'm like getting embarrassed. But I was this female, Native American female, and running through the woods and stopped at this what do you call it? Like a seeing pool or like a pool
Yeah.
that showed me another vision of something else. And the message was so clear that we need to find this place. So I was shown this map, and it's just crazy just remembering. I
Yeah.
was shown a map of where we were meant to go. So we went, and I told you what it would look like. And all of a sudden, you're like, I know where it is. Emma, this is where we're supposed to go. And we just hightailed it through the woods, no trail, nothing.
The strangest part was that I felt like I didn't feel like I saw a trail. Like I knew where to go. I even saw like it didn't look like there wasn't a trail to me. To me, it didn't. To me, I saw something there. But that's why I said I feel like this makes me sound like a lunatic as well. So
No, it was so crazy because I remember I was like, what should I be doing? And they said, follow Amanda. She knows where to go. And we were going, and we weren't on a trail. You saw the trail maybe, but we were like walking in wetlands pretty much
yes.
over stumps, over logs, like wet places. And we at one point stopped and didn't know where to go. And then all of a sudden we heard a woodpecker tapping. And we knew that's the way to go. And we just,
Mhm.
this is such a crazy story.
Mhm.
I think I've told like two people because it just sounds so crazy. But when we were walking and then we heard that, and then I remember hearing the woman that I saw in the vision sigh. Like she's like, like you found it.
Mhm.
And then we stood there and we knew you, I think, knew where we were
Mhm.
meant to stand. And it didn't look like a pool at that point. It just looked like water with
Mhm.
cattails.
Yeah.
And we stood there and we asked questions. And we
Mhm.
had very strong answers, almost like an oracle or something. And
Yeah.
that's when we
Yeah.
heard all the Native American people. We could see them kind of in our mind's eye. We could feel them. We heard the drums. It was the most surreal experience.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, not to make it sound stranger, but on the way back, we could not. It wasn't easy getting out.
No.
Like I felt like I knew exactly where I was going to get in there, and then when I get to get out of there, I was like, ah, well, I guess we'll have to figure out our way to get back. But it was a lot harder for some reason to
Yeah.
get out than it was to get in. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was a very yeah, I can't I don't even know if I have the words to describe what it was like standing in front of that spot. There was so much energy there.
It felt like we were in a time warp or something, like a
Yeah.
protected, and we were so far back in those woods too.
Mhm.
Like it was not a easy journey to get over there.
No, it was a lot further than I thought. Like I remember on the way out thinking, "Oh my gosh, this was a lot. We went a lot deeper in here than I realized we had gone."
Yeah, it felt very magical though, very sacred.
Good. It did, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like almost like this kind of like clear, like this white gold aura, like all around us while we were standing there. You could feel it. You could feel the energy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a really interesting place. Even besides like what we found in the woods there, I think that beach that we were drawn to, we were both drawn to the same spot, which was really interesting. Like before we even talked about it, as soon as we got out of the car, I was like, I really want to go over here. And you were like, oh, that's exactly where I was being pulled, you know? Um, yeah. And then like further in there, like after we came back out of, so that was before we went into the woods. Went into the woods and had that experience. And then on our way out, that place that we went to closer to the historical buildings, that there was a lot happening there as well. I think you had almost like I don't want to say a vision, but like you saw something happening there, didn't you? Like
Maybe. I
saw
don't
what happened
remember.
there. I'm trying to remember what that one was.
I don't remember. What I remember is that the sense we got was that it was peaceful
Hmm.
because there were burial sites there.
Yeah.
Were villages there too, and there were burial sites, but what we got was that it was very respected.
Hmm.
And uh whereas in other areas, the anger or the sadness, it felt
Yeah.
very loved and
Hmm.
yeah, like they were taking care of there. But I do remember there was a church or something on that land that we both were like, "Oh gosh," like we could feel how whatever was coming from that church, the energy felt very sickening.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I'm thinking of. That was the place that we went to. And it was like you could still see the water from there, from where the church was, I think. Like, but it was, I don't know, it was like I'm trying to remember. It was a very interesting spot there. I'm trying to remember exactly how it, like the setup of it. We'd have to look at a map, but um yeah, the church was unsettling.
Yeah.
It was unsettling. And I didn't, I think I mean, I think possible that that was a mission church for natives, to try to convert them, right? And so I think that could be an explanation for like that sick
Yeah.
feeling
Because
that we were getting.
it was next to it, right? And those are all historic buildings. Because, I've been in churches and
Hmm.
they haven't had that feeling to them.
Hmm.
So there's
No,
something specific to that church.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
This is really, I was really grateful and still am grateful that we had that experience because that was such a, such a pivotal moment, I think, in both your and my journey of, oh, we actually have these abilities
Hmm.
and look at what we can even sense into. And that was before I really even, I mean, I could do psychic stuff, but it was very minimal compared to what I can do now. If we
Right.
went back there, I'd be able to see, you might be able to too, like all the
Yeah.
spirits and what they're doing and understand more of the story. Whereas at that time we were very new to it all.
Right. We
Yeah.
were really experimenting, I think.
Yeah.
Like it was an experiment to see what was possible.
Yeah.
Um, and I do think that it helped that our energies kind of play off of each other when we're together. And I think even when we're, just kind of connecting virtually as well, I think that we kind of create this stronger energetic sense to enhance our abilities.
Yeah. If
Absolutely.
we
But
live
we didn't
close.
know that back then either. I think that was when we first realized it.
Yeah.
Really, like standing at the edge of that site pool, that wasn't a site pool anymore, but I still can, like, in my mind's eye, when I go back to that place, I see it as that clear water pool that it was meant to be.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense or
Hmm.
you understand what I'm saying, but yeah.
Yeah, I do. I do. Yeah, we definitely have this connection that's so strong in several ways, but just even in that. And if we lived close to each other, I think we would be unstoppable force, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I'd be scared all the time because too many spirits come. They're trying to get to you. Yeah, that's the crazy thing. Do you want to tell the story about your condo before we wrap up?
Yeah, I think it's a good place to fit it in because it was part of the Sauk Trail area in Michigan. So the Sauk tribe was in that area. Um, and that, I lived there for a couple years before anything really started to happen there. Um, and it was after something rather tragic occurred at like an apartment community like that was behind. There's like a woods and then apartments that were back behind those woods. And there was a attempted murder suicide, but the murder did not happen. Only the suicide actually took. Well, that's a terrible way to say that, but I don't know any other way to say what. But yeah, the two people that the person shot didn't. They survived, and the shooter did not. But it was like within a day of that. Like I was coming home from work when I saw all the police pulling into there. So I knew something had been going on and then we found out about it. And it was probably in the next night or two nights later. I was having a hard time falling asleep and I was laying in bed. Jonathan was already asleep. And I was praying because I couldn't get my mind to calm down. And so I was praying and trying to get through, any anxious thoughts that I was having. And I was in the middle of the Lord's Prayer and I heard this awful guttural voice from Jonathan's side of the bed that said, "This is sick." And I thought like I was going crazy. I just like froze and looked over, and Jonathan was, I thought, still sleeping. But then he said, "Did you hear that?" And I was like, oh, okay, it really happened. Like that wasn't just like imaginary, like that really happened. And that was the beginning, I would say, of the experiences that we had. And it started with that, um, became kind of like a nasty energy in the home, and then things moving, things getting like taken from like the upstairs all the way to the basement, which we didn't use the basement. It was just like storage and cat litter boxes. Like it wasn't a place that we spent time. So our things should never have ended up in the basement. So, stuff like that was happening. The cats seeing things, stopping at the bottom of the stairs and hissing, like looking up the stairs and hissing. A lot of that kind of thing. When we were alone, it was especially um, active, and we would hear something walking around upstairs when we were on the main floor of the condo. And one time I was by myself. This is one of the strangest things I've seen. I was taking a shower. I heard someone walk up the stairs. I thought I did. I turned out Jonathan wasn't home. So I was like, oh, that was weird. Thought nothing of it. Then I felt like somebody was watching me, and I turned around in the shower and my body wash was literally like floating in the air and then slammed down onto the ground. And I thought, well, that's unsettling, like because it came down with so much force. Um, And from then on, like we would have problems. Like we would almost every time we went into the bathroom, like everything would be knocked off, like into the tub, like things on the counter would be on the floor. And so just a lot of it seemed very focused like on our bedroom and master bathroom situation. Um, which was so, going back to that first when I was praying and it's saying this is sick, it was all very very, very much seemed like it was meant for us, for Jonathan and I, um, whatever that means. And I, to this day, don't really fully understand it. I thought that potentially when that happened at the condo, that person who did pass came and found me, and they were still very angry. Um, because like in then maybe they're like replaying. I don't know if that's a thing that you probably know whether spirits actually do that or if it's just something that the TV says they do, but like that was just something that I didn't know if this spirit was just reliving this moment, because he came in and shot his ex-girlfriend and her new boyfriend. So that was, the this is sick thing, and we're in bed together, right? Like it felt kind of like that was a replay of what was going on. And simply because it happened so close to when that event occurred, I thought they came and found me, as my beacon is always on. Um, and so I did try to help that spirit move on, and we did eventually not have any more activity in the home before by the time we left. I think sometimes the cats would still act like they were seeing something, but we weren't experiencing the movement of objects anymore, the talking, um, and things like that. We did also hear a woman's voice in that condo, now that I think about it. But yeah, it was a very interesting location. Fairly new construction, so it's not like it's got like lot of historical things going on with the building, but the land, kind of getting back to the theme of everything we've kind of been talking about with the Native Americans and what we experienced. I think that those that energy memory of the land is really key to some of those experiences that I have, and I think that other people have as well.
Well, and I remembered most of that story, but I forgot about the reason for the murder. Before you even said that, I was thinking, okay, this guy either killed his wife or somebody who was having an affair on him.
Mhm.
Uh, like you were
Yeah.
saying, an
Mhm.
ex-boyfriend, new boyfriend, and it felt very targeted to you
Mhm.
because you're the female.
Yeah.
And yeah, I agree with you about the this is sick thing being that a couple in bed together and he was playing it out like you were the person. It
Yeah.
reminded me uh, of a story my Reiki teacher said a few years ago that
Huh?
she was doing Reiki for somebody and she found a spirit attached to this person. And it was the spirit of a girl who had been in a car accident. And the person who was receiving the Reiki had driven by the car accident and the spirit latched onto her. And I
Oh my goodness.
feel like I was getting the image from either my guides or your guides of you're like Velcro.
Yeah.
So, some of us are. And
Yeah.
a lot of spirits attached to me too because they think I can help them or whatever, or they just like that I can sense them or interact with them.
Hmm.
But yeah, so it's a unfortunate that that happened though, because it sounds he was a pretty angry spirit.
Yeah. Very
And
angry.
and
Mhm.
I did like psychically look into the house just to see. And the sense I'm getting is you mostly helped him, but he's still kind of there as like a whisper, but he's not
Oh,
angry anymore. He's just kind of
oh,
there. So at least,
yeah.
you
I
know,
don't think he knew he was dead.
yeah, probably not. It's
Like, I
probably such
think,
a traumatic thing.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That was the sense that I got from that he
Yeah.
didn't know. He was just continually like just angry and dealing with that anger. That's how it was coming out, throwing things, creeping people out, saying things, following you, staring at you. Um, Very ominous.
We say one thing before we wrap up so it's not creepy story of that. I don't know. Um, is
Yeah.
there, I know we've talked before about you using different stones and I use different
Yeah.
stones, but you've told me that your uncle who has had or has psychic abilities gave you some information. Do you want to just quickly say like what stones do you use to help
Oh
protect?
my gosh. I'm so bad at remembering like the names of stones, but I definitely have obsidian. That's one I carry with me all the time. Um And I actually have that in my son's room as well. I have a set of crystals and stones that I have in a box that's hidden up where he can't get into it, um, because he was experiencing things from a young age. So I started by putting that in his room for protection as well. I think I always have labradites, if I'm saying that correctly. I always keep the oh, what's the green one?
Jade?
Yeah, I always have jade. Thank you. And then is it angel? How do you
Angelite
say
or the
it?
angel?
Angelite.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I always have those as well. So I keep a set in my room in the corner where you saw the nasty thing in my house. So I still keep them in that same corner in a dish. And then I have the ones in my son's room as well. And then I carry the obsidian with me as I move through the world to try to help prevent bringing things back with me. So,
Yeah. It's interesting, everybody's got stones that work for them. I could
mhm,
never carry that with me. I use obsidian, but
mhm,
I put it next to me when I'm doing my psychic stuff.
mhm,
But I can't touch it for very long. Like it sucks my energy. It's
mhm.
such a strong force, but
Yeah.
everybody's different with, how much they can tolerate or what they need. And
Mhm,
I had somebody give me the advice several years ago to just go to the gemstone store and find what feels right to you. So if you're
yeah.
tuned into
Yeah.
your energy, just know that it's going to be something maybe different than what I use or what you
Yeah.
use. But it is good
Yeah.
to know what other people use. Like
Yeah.
selenite's a big one, or quartz or
Yes.
crystal.
Oh, yes. I always have quartz. I have rose quartz and smoky quartz as well. Thank you. I'm so bad at remembering these things.
Yeah.
Um, but I actually have taken Archer. There's a gem and stone place in Manchester in our town. Well, I said it, but it's all right in Manchester. And I've taken Archer there, and he's like been instantly drawn to stones. Like, oh, mom, I need this one. Like, I want this to take home, and I let him take him home. And that's and once in a while he knows where the stones are now. And once in a while he'll ask to like look at them, and there'll be one or two that he wants to like hold for a while, and I
Yeah.
let him do that. So I think, like you said, it's really important to just do what feels right. I do that when I am going and like looking for something new, I will do that a lot, and I'll just kind of like wander until I find like what I'm drawn to.
Yeah. Yeah. Same with me. And then they'll give me like the thing that says, this stone is good for blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't even care. Like, I know what I'm going to use a stone for. It doesn't matter what they say it's good for.
Yeah, yeah,
And
absolutely,
yes,
absolutely.
somebody gifted me a while ago this stone that's like, looks like a dagger almost, but it's a yellow selenite, I think. And I
Okay.
just love it, but I'm always holding on to it when I do house clearings and things remotely
Yeah,
because I do feel like it's almost like a sword of light in a way. But
yeah,
yeah, it's just interesting how different stones have different energies and they come from different places and
yeah,
some
yeah.
have it and some
Citrine's a
don't.
good one too that I like. That's another. It's like a yellowish
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
And I do like that as well. So.
Yeah.
I have
It's
all different shapes too. Sometimes I want something that's very raw, and sometimes I'm drawn to something that's like, perfectly polished. So I think there's different energies from both,
oh,
truly.
totally,
So,
totally. Yeah. The last thing I'll say on that is what I learned from my mentor, who is a Reiki master too and a psychic. She said to put your stones out every time there's a full moon and
mm,
allow them to clear
recharge
themselves and
them.
recharge.
Yeah,
So it's a good practice to do.
that's a good idea. We can put it out with our moon water. Do you do moon water?
I have done it a few times. Yeah. I'm unsure if it does anything,
I
but
don't know if it does either,
it
but
does feel like maybe. I don't know. Well, cool. Well, thanks, Amanda, for doing this part two with me and
yeah, absolutely.
talking about the experiences that we've had and the things that happened at your condo, which were also pretty creepy.
Yeah, thank you.
All
It's
right.
been great.
Yeah, it's been great. So if anybody else wants to be on this this video series, this podcast, please send me a note. Love hearing your stories, and we're really trying to normalize these topics. So, okay, well, hope everybody has a great rest of their day. Thanks, Amanda.
Thank you. Bye.